people are wanting to get back into sustainable exercise habits, sustainable healthy habits, what would some of your key tips be for people who are struggling to do that, to make the one kind of thing worked in lockdown and now life is kind of getting busy again? What would be your tips? You talked about accountability and about classes and programming it in. Somebody's not used to that, doesn't have access to the gym. What would be some of the tips that you might give?
I think one of is just making the small changes that you can be consistent with, and then building on those. And I think you probably see this in your world as well, is people think that they know where they want to get to, or they have a really good idea of where they want to get to, especially with physical health, because it's quite clear cut, isn't it? They want to be, they want to look a certain way, they want to be able to do something particular, or they want to have a certain level of health. So they're very sort of tangible goals, aren't they, with health, with that side of things. So I think people look to see where they want to get to, and then it's almost people look for the quickest way to get there, and then it's not always sustainable. In fact, most of the time it's not sustainable. So it's almost like they want to get from A to B at 100 miles an hour, and they don't have either the type of car or the enough fuel in the engine that's going to make that happen. So it's like, okay, look at where you are now. I think it's definitely a good idea to have an idea of where you want to get to, but break that down and chunk that down and put some milestones in of where, if you want to get to this point, what are the milestones that you can pick out between where you are now and there, and then just start working towards each milestone rather than the complete end goal. So it might be, being able to walk a couple of laps around the block. That might be the first milestone. The second milestone might be walking a couple of laps in a certain amount of time, or it might be a dress size, or it might be being able to walk at a certain speed and get your breath back a lot quicker. Whatever the goal is, there'll be different milestones. But I think it's, for me, sustainable and consistency are probably the two things that are key. But also it's around, you probably haven't had the habits and behaviors that you have at the moment, you've probably had for quite a long time. It's going to take some time to get to where you want to get to. So give yourself some time to do that, and not try and, you're not going to get to a certain goal in a month's time. So you need to set yourself something that is sustainable, that fits in with your routine. So a lot of what I talk about with people is how much energy, mental and physical energy, you've got to invest in this. So it's not just the emotional investment of how much do you want this to happen, but also how much mental and physical energy have you got to invest in making this happen, and adjusting that until you've got something that is sustainable and something that you can be consistent with and that you want to be consistent with. Because I think sometimes there's a disconnect between what people want and then what people can show up to, and then people just get, they get disappointed, or they give themselves a hard time because they've not shown up in the way that they said they would, when actually that might not have been realistic in the first place.